Going once, going twice, sold! You're listening to The Property Pod, an accessible and easy way to get into or help understand the goings-on of the property market. Join Aaron, John and Pat as they discuss all things real estate, most likely get sidetracked, and then try and rein it all back in as they present The Property Pod.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Property Pod. You are on deck with Aaron, Pat, and Mac. Here we are. We are ready to rock and roll. I'm calling him Mac this morning because not is he in a tweed jacket, but he is in one of the sharpest outfits I've ever seen the boy wear.
Thank you, sir.
It's like he thinks he's on Miami Vice.
I know.
I love it.
And let it be known that outside it is blowing a gale. The roaring 40s are coming up from Antarctica. It's freezing.
I always like this theory, dress how you feel. Maybe John feels like it's summer.
I'm Scottish, baby. This is fine.
Hot weather for you.
Can you just describe your outfit to the crew before we get into anything real estate? Just let us know what you're wearing.
All right, so what do we got? RM Williams boots. We've got some Calvin Klein black jeans.
Calvin Klein.
Industry linen button shirt and industry linen, I don't know, what's this, a throw jacket?
I don't know, but
I don't know, but shout out to all three of those brands if anyone wants to sponsor our show.
But also shout out that the jacket doesn't wear itself. The jacket's wearing you. Look at the way you rolled up the sleeves on that bad boy.
Yeah, when we were trying it on.
Well, you can't get your Tag Heuer out on display without rolling up the sleeve.
Oh, searching for another sponsor.
Well, there's four, right? There's that five?
We won't have to sell real estate anymore.
No.
We're no ABC on this show. We'll chop names all day.
Yes, we are sellouts.
Now, I'm gonna put it out there, Mac, that the reason you are wearing such a fine attire is you've got a little conference you're going to today.
Yeah, we're not 100% business today, so wanted something a bit more casual. I didn't anticipate that I was going to look this sharp, business casual.
When you woke up, did you think, geez, I'm looking good for the twid today?
Yeah. I want. He's a good friend of mine, so it's like I've got to be looking good.
It's actually really funny. The first bit that we wanted to mention today was Pat and I last week went to a little event that's really similar to what you're going to today.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see how the two of those kind of compare. Like Pat will be able to put the two together and see what it comes across. So Pat, can you tell the listeners out there what we went to last week?
Yeah, so Aaron and I did 3 or 4 days, 3 days of Facebook training with the guys from Facebook. Came down and put on an event.
Yeah, so
it was really good.
The Facebook Community Boost, it was at Princess Wharf in Hobart, and they had really good crew. Actually went all around the state. They went up to Launceston and Devonport.
They had me sold on the free coffee when you walked in the door, John. I'm like, I'm here all 3 days.
Well, see, I've never really been to a conference event like this. Like back when I was a teacher, it used to just be you'd go along and maybe you'd get a fruit salad or something. But like the spread, like
John, it was like smoked salmon bagels for breakfast, followed by morning tea, followed by lunch, followed by afternoon tea.
And this is all complimentary too, wasn't it? No, man, that's what happens when you're living on a Facebook budget.
Yeah.
But other than the free stuff, it was actually really, really useful. I think it was so it was the Facebook Community Boost, and I think it was probably more aimed at really, really small businesses or people who are trying to get businesses off the ground and just using Facebook as a resource to understand advertising and understand pushing their business just to that next level. There were a few other real estate professionals that we saw there.
Yeah, but there wasn't as many as I was expecting. I thought agents love to get around a free event, so I thought there'd be more there. Maybe Facebook needed to put in the advertising, free food as well, to get people there.
I know at our REIT Christmas functions, as soon as there was a $10 ticket, attendance halved, and then they did it free one year, just everyone showed up.
Yeah.
It's $10, mate.
No, but the difference was on that, they put free beer in the poster as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what got everyone there.
What, free beer with the $10 or free beer for the free one?
For the free. All free.
Yeah, just all free every day of the week.
Invite me to that one as well. No, so we've been along to that, and then
It was really good.
No, yeah, it was really good. So shout out to the Facebook Community Boost. I think it goes all around. It goes all around the world.
I think
there
so,
was
yeah.
some that when we were looking at the hashtags that was going all these places all around the world, and they were just trying to boost. It's quite amazing that they can put on events like this. And
Well, the other thing too is if they've always going up against the idea of, big tech, and who can you actually call when it comes to that organisation? It's all, over the computer. So for the fact they're actually reaching out and putting a face to their brand is probably a really important
that was really cool as well, what you just said there, because all the head bosses that were there and sort of the department leaders, they were taking out bookings of 15 minutes of their time, so you could go and sit with them and ask them any question you had.
Oh, wow.
How do I do this? What's the best way to attack this? Should I do this with my page? Should I not? They were there to give their advice on any topic you wanted to throw at them. So,
and then I really wish I had taken down his name, and I probably could find it out. But one of the keynotes on the last day that we saw was this guy from Devonport, funnily enough, who works in Silicon Valley now.
Oh, wow.
And he got up and kind of told his story of how he went from a guy who just was really interested in
building stuff
and breaking stuff down. He kind of said, I got my first Morris Mini when I was 17, and I thought the steering on it was no good. Yep. So I just one weekend decided to try and fix it, and I had to buy a whole new Mini and put it all together.
Jesus.
But it all started at that, and then he just kind of went to design school and did all this stuff, and now he's working in Pat will be able to Oculus.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he's got a full team of people that he works with near San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and he just kind of talked about the future of the Oculus, all of the different products. You know more about it than me.
Well, I think wasn't Oculus the ID software guy? Like there's John Romero, and who was the other one? John McCormack. Is that Oculus?
Oh, I've no idea.
I don't know.
They're VR goggles.
I just
You've out-nerded us.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
But the goggles are crazy. So they're now building glasses that can help you see better at night. Jesus. So what it has is like these little cameras, and I'm using my hands to describe this, that sort of film in front of you and then project over your eyes.
All right.
And then you can boost up the exposure. So where it's pitch black dark, it's like using a camera on your phone.
Oh,
all of a sudden you can see in the dark.
So you don't have to get that high-tech military gear. You just chuck on your Oculus and you're good to go.
It was amazing to see some of the ideas of what is coming. And he said, look, obviously at the moment this isn't...
It's all prototype.
Ready. He goes, lots of these things are
working,
things we can do that work, but to get them into a set of glasses or something that is consumable to the mass public, or like just the battery. You said the batteries are too hot. Like you put them on next to your head.
Yeah.
And you'll burn your head.
Yeah. But they will get there.
One of the cool features I really liked is they had a translating feature he was talking about.
Okay.
And so you can be wearing your glasses like you are today, John, and you can be overseas in China and looking at a sign, and you don't see the Chinese letters, you see it in full English. So it actually reprojects the word in English on the same sign, removing the Chinese lettering.
Oh, really?
You would never actually see
the Chinese lettering.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I know, it's an interesting idea because language and culture is such an interesting thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'd love the idea where it translates, but then if the fact that you'd be looking at it in English, that'd just, I don't know.
I guess you could just lift your glasses.
Yeah.
Just to have that authentic experience.
Shoot, I am in China.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just you're completely living in an alternate reality everywhere you go.
No, it was really crazy. The thing that was so amazing was you talked about putting faces to Facebook and stuff like this guy's from Devonport.
Yeah, that's
his
cool.
parents were sitting in front of us in the amphitheatre that we were in. And like they were proud as punch. They were just like, look at what our son's done.
Yeah.
And just to go through his story and come across that. So one of the key takeaways I got from just that was like, you can reach the stars and do anything.
Well, the other thing then is that that's the cool thing about dedicating yourself to a craft. And I like that idea of scratching your own itch. And provided you excel at it, you don't know where that's going to lead you. And there's a story of the guy who was the world's best whistler. You can look him up on a TED Talk. And he describes this element where he for some reason, he loved whistling. And he ended up...
I love this.
And so he just learned how to whistle and just became the world's best whistler. And he ended up getting invited to President Bush's office. And George Bush was just like, I hear you can whistle. And
Give me one of your whistles,
so he said, could you play any country songs? And he didn't, but there's a particular classical...
But he didn't.
No, well, there's a particular classical song that sounds like a country song, so he whistled that, and apparently George Bush has kicked back, put his seat on the desk, load up a stogie, and listen to this guy whistle. And another one was he was in like a country like China where, again, the company that was represented him, they... work for, multi, worldwide organizations worth billions of dollars. And he was in this boardroom with like 5 very stoic looking businessmen.
Yep.
And the conversation turned again as that we heard you're the world's best whistler. And he said, would you whistle us a tune? He said, sure, what would you like to hear? And as far as I remember, he described in his talk that they really wanted to listen to Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On.
Banger.
So he starts whistling this, like obviously, bringing out of his soul.
Yeah.
Next minute, one of them stands up, puts his hand on the heart. The other guy has a tear running down his face. But because he learned how to...
where whistling can take you.
Look where whistling can take you. So scratch your itch.
I like that. Scratch your itch. Maybe the name of this episode.
Scratch your own itch.
Scratch your own itch.
Scratch your own itch.
So look, to pivot from that, we haven't talked real estate that much today, but you guys are then off to Glenn Twiddle.
Yeah, so he's a real estate coach based out of Queensland.
Yep.
So what he's doing at the moment, he's going around Australia, obviously teaching us, because
I think he's going to New Zealand as well. I looked at one of his posts.
Wouldn't surprise me, actually.
Yeah,
but he very much a marketing coach as well.
Yep.
And so he's obviously, him and his team spend a lot of time and money in understanding how to get the most out of your Facebook in order to market your brand better. So that's what his training course is dedicated to today.
Wonder how much will marry together and how much will be different, Pat.
Well, the other thing too is that there's a lot of tools through Facebook that enables you to reach out to targeted markets for your clients when it comes to either leasing or selling your property. So I know that's another thing he's going to be going on to today. So it's not always just about obviously there's going to be part of us learning how to brand ourselves better so we can get our names out there better, but also too to be able to utilize that platform so that our clients can leverage it a lot better as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, it'd be quite an interesting, because you've done some training with him before.
Yeah.
You did. I actually was looking through my computer one time and I found some stuff of him interviewing you or you interviewing him. Or...
No, he did it. He did an interview with me, and that's where you boys came up and filmed it.
That was before my time.
It was Curto.
Oh, it's Curto. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Shout out to another industry cameraman out there that does all the media for, I think he's at EIS now.
Yeah, once upon a time was the top of his game, but now I think you might have pipped him.
Don't tell him that. He's busy making feature films. Give him a fair go.
Yeah.
I'm just putting this in there to see if he does listen, so then I get a call later.
All right, boys. So what are we pivoting to today?
We're going to talk everything apps. So apps for your phone that help you do real estate or help you understand real estate better.
So is this to help the general consumer or is this to help the agent?
Consumer this time. So we're going to look at what you can use to maybe buy a house easier and understand the market better.
Yeah, rock and roll. Well, we might flick off to the old Adderuni and we'll come back in with some app talk.
Beautiful.
At Tag Heuer, we believe in what...
Are you wearing an industry shirt? Oh, the sleeve's too long. Pull them up.
Ace.
All right, I have to get to the notes now.
I kid you not, the defining fact of buying this jacket or not was once we rolled it up, I said, actually, that looks really good. Because the sleeves are too long.
I'll take it.
As a family-run business, First National Real Estate McGregor understands that the property market can be stressful. However, with a strong team in both sales and rentals, we are here to guide you through the property maze. Find out more today at mcgregorfm.com.
All right, so let's help everybody out there with some apps that they can get. I'm assuming it's on their phone. I've actually done zero research this week, Pat. So Pat and Mac, you guys are in charge.
I'm going to feel like Mac's probably done zero research too, so this might be all me today.
Another one of Pat's episodes.
It's all good. I like apps. I like technology, so I like to play with different things. And there are so many programs out there now that you can use to help the buying experience that little bit easier.
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought it should let people know what they are so that we can potentially get them installed on our phone and make that buying process a little bit smoother.
Yeah, and we'll say we aren't sponsored by anybody.
Unfortunately,
all the apps that we are mentioning aren't paid sponsorships. If they would like to pay to help us out,
reach out to Media 414 Real Estate.
Exactly.
So look,
this is just stuff you found that you think
that
is
I
useful.
use. I use them as well. Even though I'm in the industry, I find these can be helpful for me, but I can also see that the flip how they could be helpful for a consumer.
Yep.
So obviously the first two ones out there are probably ones that nearly everyone in Australia these days has installed on their phone, and it's realestate.com.au and domain.com.au.
Sure. So
I'd be very surprised if you're thinking about buying property, I'd be surprised if you didn't have one of those two apps installed on your phone.
For sure. So these are the two powerhouse portals of basically the majority of properties that go online
will be on those
portals that you'll scroll through and you'll be able to find information on them.
And look, they both have their pros and cons. They're both very good apps. They both do what they're designed to do, which is help you find property.
Yep.
There are some differences, I guess, between each of them. For instance, domain.com.au, one of the favourite features that I like about it, and probably most people don't know exists, is that with Domain's app, if you register for an open home, say you're going to 1 Smith Street on the weekend, and in the app you say, I'm
interested.
Save the time and that you're attending.
Yep.
If the agents, and there are a lot of them in Hobart that use the sister app, which is an app called HomePass, if the agent is using HomePass at the open home, the moment you arrive, you can be automatically checked into the property. So you don't have to do that whole, can I have your name and number?
Yep.
Can you please fill out this iPad with all the information? Yeah, so
is that just the apps talking to each other?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's using your GPS. So the moment you arrive on site, it knows you're at the house, and then it pings the agent to say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have just arrived, and it gives the agent, with your permission, obviously, your phone number and your email as the agent. So it saves you having to line up and fill all that information in with the
so
agent.
You can jump the queue.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah. So look, my agency doesn't use HomePass anymore, so this is really bad, but I know a lot of agencies do, and that's the thing. I think it's really important to know that if you're looking at open homes, that maybe Domain's a good option for you for that reason.
Just as a guy who doesn't go to open homes, are they really popular in that there might be a line, and if you can jump the queue, you get in first, you get to look around, you might be the first one that can pop an offer in. Is that something that can happen?
I think the better way to look at it is you can spend more time in the house, because often there's only usually half an hour, 45 minutes available.
Yep.
So if you can at least get in there and get started early, you can spend more time in that inspection.
Assessing it. It's not a race to get in there and be like, all right, I've seen every room and I like it and I'm going to beat everybody else.
Yeah, and then if you're first in and you're walking out the door and there's that really long line and you want to get an advantage, you're like, God, this place is overpriced. I can't believe how disgusting that house was. And so make sure all the people in the line can hear it.
The one around the corner is so much better.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't even waste my time going in. So you really just mentally play with the people that are lined up like suckers waiting to get into the place.
All right, so if you log into the app, you've got an advantage. Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, so look, I really like that aspect with Domain's app. Realestate.com is really good from a research perspective as well, because they have really good detail on the sold data. They inject information as well from CoreLogic, so they get a lot of sort of suburb data as well. So if you're trying to research an area to figure out a potential price of what you might offer a property, realestate.com can be really helpful from that aspect.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like having discussion with clients now, is that everyone's 80% of the way there most of the time, because these apps can give you so much. Another function that I really like too that not many people use is the map search function, because with these portals they'll give preference to not necessarily the latest listing, but who's actually spent the most on the advertising money. So the one at the top of the page may not necessarily be the newest ad.
Oh, okay.
But it's likely to be my property.
Yep, probably.
Because I buy the upgrade.
Yeah. And then with the map function though, you'll get an immediate list, postcode, suburb, street, and then instantly, within the bracket that you want, and then it'll scroll up to the map. There'll be red or green dots or blue dots, whatever website you're on.
Yeah.
And then you just quickly click through from a top-down perspective, because that's personally the way I like to search.
And because lots of people are interested in suburb before they're interested in specific properties. It's kind of, I would like to live in this area, or I think I can afford in X area.
Yeah.
So if you've got there's 7 properties available in my main target area.
Yep.
Boom, I'm going to have a look there.
Absolutely. And there might only be...
You can create short lists as well, which is really handy. So you can sort of condense your picks of the properties down into a shorter list so that you're not sort of looking through a huge collection of properties.
This is within your app?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot out of those ones that they've come a long way, and they're always continually designed to try and keep you on there as long as possible. But from that perspective, that pretty much covers sort of the stuff that I like the most.
Yeah, and it's probably going to sound silly. They're both free apps to download.
Of course.
Yep.
So everything that we're talking about today are all free apps. So everything across the board. Again, we're not being paid for them. We're just recommending them as people in the industry who think they would be good. Right. So give us another app, Pat. Another app. So look, another one that I really like is one called Magic Plan. So I'll be honest, it's a bit hit and miss when you try to use it, but if you can get it to work well, it's really good. So
I've had a crack at this one, and it's when you mentioned it, I do know it. It's really cool when it works. Yeah.
And look, if you've got a bit of time and you want to have a little play with it, it can be a helpful little feature.
Yep.
So what it basically does is, using the camera on your phone, you can actually draw a floor plan of the house. But what's more interesting is you can actually measure a wall in a room. So you may not want to draw the entire floor plan, but you might want to use it just to say, I wonder if my couch is going to fit on this wall. I can line up one corner of the room, Then I can go to the second corner with the phone and it'll tell me the measurement between the two distances.
I think I've mentioned this before. When I was taking the wall out in my place, I was really worried about the sizing of the couch to the wall ratio. And this is when I was like, oh, you might have mentioned it to me. You said, oh, try Magic Plan, give it a try. And yes, it did help me.
Yeah, so look, I don't think anyone's going to sit. I don't think anyone has the time when they're looking at a sale property to map the whole entire house. And most agents these days provide you with pretty good 2D floor plans anyway.
Yep.
But I think it could be just a useful app to have on your phone if you're worried about a certain room. Is my thing going to fit on that wall? Is my
massive TV going to fit on that wall?
You can quickly measure just a certain space just to get an idea of it without whipping out the old tape measure.
I was going to say, Pat, is this totally necessary in the age of tape measures?
Well, it is and it isn't. But like for me, I'm like, well, if I'm an agent and I see somebody with a tape measure, I know they're bloody interested in the place. So I'm going to probably pester you a bit more. If you're just taking a few photos, I may not be as obvious that you're...
There's that hawk just looking around.
So that could be another ploy for listeners out there. If you don't want to look too keen,
don't get the tape measure
out.
Yeah.
There you go. That's an itch to scratch.
Or if you want to pretend, if you are keen, you're trying to phase everyone out again, just keep getting the measure tape and go, oh, mate, that's nowhere near big enough. Oh, that's nowhere. Oh, look how far that's out. Like 5 mils. Jesus.
You can't be dressed like you are today and do that though, John. You'd have to come in your construction gear, with your work boots.
I've got my hard jacket pants and stuff like that. Covered in paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
414 Real Estate has been operating within the northern suburbs of Hobart since 2006 with their innovative approach to marketing and managing your property. They have all your property needs covered. Find out more by visiting them today at 414.com.au.
All right, so the next one I thought would be really good to have a look at as well is one called Houzz. Like, I know that you and Sarah have used it a little bit.
We have used this is like the Pinterest one as well.
Yeah, so Pinterest or Houzz. So Houzz, Houzz. It's actually like just a app full of inspiration. So like you can search, backyards, and it'll show you just how yards from all over the world in different stylings, or Scandi bedroom, and it'll give you inspiration. And not that it's going to help you buy a house, but I think it could potentially help you see vision in a home that might be empty, or see vision in a home that's a bit dated. Like, what could I do to make this older home look more modern?
Yep.
So if anything, it could just give you an idea of what possibilities are out there with like a reno project. Or
I think even when we used it, we might have searched modernise or something along those lines, and it was something that was like your classic home with the fireplace, and then it was just, one or two little things that we saw like, oh, that looks pretty inexpensive. We could
do that,
pop that into our place.
Yeah.
But just as a source of, it was the same with our laundry as well. When we were trying to do the laundry, it was a matter of how do we make this functional and modern. And from what it was to what it is, if I was to put the photos side by side, you wouldn't recognise the space.
No.
And it was something that we were like, oh yeah, look, we just run them all down that way rather than the stacking how that kind of trend of stacking the utilities in a cupboard and hiding them. But then I was like, well, if we do that, then there's this giant space that becomes pointless.
Yep.
Whereas what we've done is line them up. There's a sink. Everything makes sense.
Yeah.
And it was all come from, it might have been Houzz or it might have been Pinterest, but we were looking on these
apps to get an idea of what to do.
Yeah, and we did a similar thing where rather than creating that European laundry, so it's all behind a cupboard, they just sit below the bench and the bench runs the entire length of the laundry.
Yeah.
Cabinetry up the top. So you've got a lot more workable space.
Alrighty, so the last one that I wanted to bring up is actually one for tenants. I thought we always talk sales, but we don't do a lot for the tenant side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
So there is one out there called tenantapp.com.au, and they have an app that you can download.
Yep.
And basically, it's a bit like the Home Pass one we were describing earlier to check into open homes.
Yep.
But this time, it's sort of for tenants. Like if it's run through a company called Inspect Real Estate, which I think 90% of the agents in Hobart now use.
Probably.
And what it does is it's an app that brings in all the available rentals around your area.
Okay.
And you can register for open homes straight within the app.
Yep.
And that'll notify the property manager that you're attending. And then when you arrive, it helps you check in as well. So,
is this similar to the thing you were talking about on a previous episode where when you're applying for a rental property, most of them are on this certain, like it's a signing feature or something?
Yeah,
like
so that's in one form. So this works with one form. So after you've been to the inspection and you say, yes, you're interested, then it links you through to one
so
form.
So they work in conjunction with one another?
That's correct, yeah. So it's sort of just one I thought that could be handy to have as well, because a lot of people don't know it's there. And if you, with how hard the Hobart marketplace is at the moment to get a rental, Tenant app could be a really good one to help you better understand what's out there and what's open for inspection this week, so you can go and get to see a few properties rather than...
So it's like going to real estate...
it's like realestate.com, but only the open homes.
Yeah.
So it's only displaying the open homes and it allows you to register on the spot with one click.
So rather than trawling through information that you're not interested in, it'll just kind of give you what you're after.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds pretty interesting.
I think, on the investor front then, actually... So I think there's two on there that are really good you've put down there too, Pat. One was the property calculator app, and I think that one's dedicated. If you're a number cruncher, that's the way to go. Stamp duty costs, running costs, and all that kind of stuff. So that's, you can map out everything from where your purchase price is or your land, your listing price to rental, and then spit out right up until you get like a net profit end on how that investment's going to be working for you.
Yeah.
And then following on from that, there's another group called BMT Tax Depreciation, and if you type in BMT in the App Store, they've got a whole waft of apps dedicated to quickly calculating for you what a potential tax depreciation on your property is going to be, purchase price, age, year, etc. And it'll give you sort of a quick estimated schedule on what your returns can quickly come out of that. So rather than having to go down the path of getting a formal depreciation schedule just to get advice, jump on the app, throw in a few numbers, and it's going to give you some quick advice to help map out what you can get more out of at a particular investment property.
Isn't it amazing what we carry in our pockets now, just to think that all this information is just at an ease of access? It's like, I wonder if I can find out this about my property.
Yeah.
Well, you pretty much got apps for tenants, for purchasers, for landlords, for property owners. Like, there's one there for everyone that can help you in the different section that you're in.
Yeah, we could just go, have a whole podcast on apps. Yep. Just across the board of just being like, this week we're telling you about this app. Actually, it could be a segment from here on out we could be doing. It's amazing. I'm just blown away that it's something, I think of, I'm going to get Angry Birds or I'm going to get a crappy little app. But it's amazing. There's just so much stuff out there.
There's actually apps that are useful.
Yeah. Hey, what are you saying about my Angry Birds?
Just saying, not distraction apps,
Oh, I guess we can put a pin in it for today and come back to it.
No, look, I think there's heaps of stuff to explore there. It's really I looked at the show notes and I was like, I don't know anything about this stuff. So, no, you've taught.
Isn't that every week for you?
No, well, it is every week for me, but sometimes Magic Plan was the only thing that jumped out at me. I was like, oh, yeah, I've read that one. And how's?
Doesn't matter.
Look, appreciate that you've educated me on some app stuff. I love learning about all this stuff. And, look forward to finding out some more in the future.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Pat gave me a thumbs up for his sign-off. He's still learning about this podcast game.
Awesome. See you, gentlemen.
See you guys.
See ya.
You have been listening to The Property Pod, produced and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Real Estate and McGregor First National Proprietary Limited.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek and use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this